Flight precautions. Flight environment. Please check the weather conditions before flying. Do not fly in the following types of extreme weather: wind, rain, snow, dense fog, high and low temperature, and other environments. Below -10 degrees Celsius or above 40 degrees Celsius. Do not fly near high voltage lines, communication base stations, signal towers, or tall buildings. There is a lot of interference in such environment, which may seriously affect the remote controller signal and GPS signal. Flight range and flight performance will be affected. In severe cases, the positioning of the drone may be poor or unavailable. When flying at high altitudes above 3,000 meters, due to environmental factors, the power system of the drone may be affected to a certain extent. Please fly with caution. Please fly in an open and unobstructed environment. Always observe the flight altitude and environment, and stay away from people, animals, and cars. Pre-flight inspection. Please check that the arms are unfolded correctly, and the battery is securely installed, and the propellers and screws are not loose or deformed. Power on the drone after checking the above details. Place the drone on level ground, and wait for the drone to complete the search for GPS signal to enter GPS mode, until the app prompts that it's permitted to take off. Pay attention to the height of surrounding obstacles before takeoff. Before takeoff, please check that the drone's behavior after signal lost, minimum return altitude, virtual fence and other settings are adjusted and set. The minimum return altitude must be greater than the height of surrounding obstacles. Set the virtual fence within the requirement of local laws and regulations. Please pay attention to the return location after takeoff. If the signal deteriorates during the flight, adjust the orientation of the remote controller and the angle of the antenna in time. By monitoring the map/attitude indicator in the lower left corner of the flight interface. Align the antenna with the drone. The drone icon turns green to indicate correct alignment. Please observe your surroundings at all times during the flight. If there are situations such as insufficient battery level or other environmental changes, fly the drone back as soon as possible and land it timely and safely. Intelligent return to home safety instructions. Enter settings. Find settings for drone behavior when signal lost under safety. And you can make changes to drone behavior. Choose carefully based on the flight environment or special requirement. The default setting is return to home. Return to home when signal lost. When manually triggering the RTH. If the current flight altitude is less than the preset return altitude, the drone will automatically ascend to the preset return altitude before returning. If the current flight altitude is greater than the preset return altitude, the drone will remain at its current altitude and return. If the drone and the remote controller are disconnected during the flight, the drone will automatically ascend to 120 meters, then fly straight back to the home point and land. Land when signal lost. If the drone and the remote controller are disconnected during the flight, the drone will not return to the home point. Instead, it will land immediately. If the drone reconnects to the remote controller, it will cancel the landing process and remain hovering. Hover when signal lost. If the drone and the remote controller are disconnected during the flight, the drone will not return to the home point. Instead, it will keep hovering and wait to reconnect to the remote controller. If the drone cannot reconnect to the remote controller, a forced landing will be triggered when the battery level of the drone is too low.